Hello and welcome back to the show. I am DarcyBits. Today we are using Urza's Artificial Intelligence for a full flavor forging. Yes, we are doing the series of starting with a card. I don't know what we're starting with yet. I hadn't think that far ahead. And then we're going to try and roll that card into another name, into another name, into another name to hopefully create a series of cards that all sort of feel like they live in the same world in a large sense. Previously, we've been using a lot of the deck builder, which allows you to put in a deck name to helpfully get some things pretty unified, but they don't all like refer to each other, right? You get cards that are all sort of similar because they come from the same seed, but any interesting ideas that one card brings up isn't necessarily going to be reflected in another card. Here, if a card refers to a specific card name, we can actually make that card name. If a card has flavor text attributed to a legendary character, we can make that legendary character, etc., etc., etc. So that's the plan here. And today we're going to be using the standard card forger, largely because it lets us put in a name. I've been avoiding names recently because I had been finding that all of my names sound kind of similar, and if I am just making them up myself, and I wanted to let the AI sort of take over that realm for a bit. But here we're going to want to be influencing with the names themselves, and if you use the deck builder and write a name, you kind of have to write all the other fields or it breaks. So, with that all out of the way, I think that's everything. Let's get started. Vincamp in the chat is suggesting that we start with either Flame Ward Prism or Iridescent Flame Beast. I think creatures are a great starting point, so I'm going to go with the Iridescent Flame Beast. Thank you for the suggestion. Iridescent Flame Beast. Iridescent Flame Beast is a 2-mana 1/1 elemental. Whenever Iridescent Flame Beast attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. That is pretty good, honestly. It doesn't have to attack, which means it will probably trade with something and die, but if your opponent only has like one thing at a time, boom, nothing's dead, boom, nothing's dead, boom, nothing's dead. So we saw the screen flicker. That means that it's finished rendering the card, and we can safely save that in our folder. What do we have? Even the burn will end in wonder. Orzov Sage. We have Orzov here for some reason. And Vincamp is letting me know that I misspelled Flame Beast. Yes, I did. It's Flame Beast. That's what it is now. We're just gonna roll with this. We gotta keep this ball rolling. Orzov Sage. I think I'm just gonna use Orzov Sage and see where it takes us. Orzov Sage. So, is this taking place in Ravnica? Not necessarily, but we'll see if we can make that make sense. Orzov Sage. No, wherever we are, Orzov or green, I guess. A 5-mana human wizard. They're a 3/3. For 4 mana, target creature gains protection from artifacts until end of turn. That's very specific, which is fine. I guess we should probably establish some ground rules for how re-rolling works. If a card just fully does not function in the rules of Magic, I'll probably re-roll it. Otherwise, I am not going to be doing any balance here. This is just a bunch of cards, and it's mostly for flavor anyway, so I'm not too concerned if things don't play well. Although I would love to then eventually take these cards and do something with them gameplay-wise. But we're not doing a power level fixing here at the moment. So, artifacts are a thin crust of reality, protecting a thin crust of truth. Interesting. This doesn't say a lot to me, other than we got some artifact themes going on, which is something potentially going on. Hello, Skarzen. How are you? Welcome in to the chat. I think from here, what we're seeing is, I kind of want to say like Crust of Reality or Crust of Truth. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I think that's where we're going. Crust of Truth. See if we can get a non-creature. Maybe that will lead us into something. Crust of Truth is an artifact. Okay. Alright, this is working. 3 mana artifact for 3 and tap target creature. Okay. As long as this relic remains, so will its keeper. Linshura. So, anyone in chat, if anybody knows if any of the characters in flavor text are real, please shout it out, because I will miss that. Linshura. I'm not checking all the cards that we're seeing and seeing if these people are real or not, but sometimes, as we saw with Orzov Sage, the AI will pull in terms that exist outside in the rest of the world of Magic. So is Linshura a real character? I don't know. The question is, do I want to give them a subtype? I don't think so. Vincan says it's someone's character in Final Fantasy XIV. Amazing. That's great. I'm just going to say Linshura. I don't have enough information to give them a subtitle. Although, if I don't give them a subtitle, most likely they won't be legendary. Wow, good job, AI. You figured it out. Linshura is a 5-mana 3/3 legendary human knight. Other black creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a creature you control becomes black, you gain 1 life. I don't think I've ever seen that effect before on a card. What? Whenever it becomes black. That's cool. So I know that, like, in Magic, if a card cares about, you know, when a counter is put on a creature, entering with counters on you counts as counters being put on them, which I think is dumb, but that is apparently the case. In this case, I think you would still need an actual effect that changed their color, but that's cool. Like, the effects, there are effects that change things color. It doesn't see it very often, but it happens. Vincan says, I wonder if it works with Mutate. Ooh, interesting. When the Kithkin unify, there is nothing more to fear. Wow! Okay, now is that pro-Kithkin or anti-Kithkin? Like, Kithkin, they've unified. This is the scariest thing ever. Or is it Kithkin is unified? There's nothing that's scary anymore because we're together. This is a human knight, however, so I'm not sure. Scarzan in chat says, morph? I think that would work. I'm not a judge, so I don't really know, but yeah, because it goes from being colorless to being whatever color it is. Maybe. So where do we go from here? We got Kithkin, so we're going to want Kithkin. I think I'm just going to say Kithkin Unifier. Unless I want to, like, lean into black. I don't want to be doing too much, like, I'm just going to make up a card name because I think it might synergize. That's not really the goal of today's stream. So, I'm not going to just throw in a black-sounding keyword to see if I can make something happen. Let's go with Kithkin Unifier. Unifier's a real word, right? Probably? Maybe? I don't know. Kithkin Unifier is a 4-mana Kithkin. It's a 2/2. Whenever a Kithkin you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, that player may choose a creature they control. If they do, exile that card. But it's a May ability. That's a lot of text for a May ability that will never be used, but oh well. Did I forget to save that last card? I did. Oops. Oops, I've been forgetting to save these. My bad. I forgot. I just got really into forging. I completely forgot to save them. I haven't had to do that recently because I've been using the deck builder. I just saved them all at the end. The light came from everywhere, spreading across the rift until only the Kithkin remained. Okay, there's some sort of Kithkin takeover happening. What? I don't know. Tell me more about this spreading light. Spreading Light is a 1-mana green instant. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Fair enough. Can't argue with that. I fear the worst in myself. I build around it, but I cannot live without the best. Arvis, Shaman of Core. We're just going to straight up use that name. Arvis, Shaman of Core. Double check I spelled that right. I did not. In R. Alright. Who is this Shaman of Core? Arvis, Shaman of Core is a 3-mana 1/1 core cleric. Alright. Tap target creature with power 2 or less. Okay. Only the right path leads to death. I welcome the call. I don't have a lot to go off of there. Do I want to jump backwards in time and use one of the other terms that we saw? Or do I want to make something up based off of the effect or something? Yeah, I totally missed Lynn. Lynn's not saved here. I believe it was Linshura. You know what? I might just make a new Lynnshura. Because I didn't save Linshura. Oops. So I'm going to jump back to Linshura because I accidentally did not save them, and we can get a new take on that character. Still legendary, but a very different design. Linshura is a 5-mana legendary creature zombie god. They're a 5/5. When Linshura, the Death God, which is not the name of this card, but I'll give it to them, enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. For 3 mana and sacrifice a creature, destroy target artifact. We still have a lot of artifact hate, so that's cool. The Blessed Tower of Bant was once home to more than 100 of the brightest and best. Yet not a single life was spared when they died. Well, this feels a bit weird because I definitely should have just saved the previous one, but oh well, what you gonna do? I do want to see the Blessed Tower of Bant. The question is, should that just be Tower of Bant? Nah. Blessed Tower of Bant is a land. Okay. Tap to add colorless. Good enough so far. Generic white, blue. Add red or white. Activate only if you control 6 or more lands. That is... I don't know what to say about that one. Fair enough. Not very useful. But the narrow staircases creak and rattle in the wind of the Blessed Tower of Bant. That's cool. This is a cool card. Like, not from like just from a design standpoint, but from like a flavor and illustration standpoint. You really get the landscape involved here, and there's this big tower, and there's this cool river. Yeah. Where do we go from here? This doesn't have a lot of information to jump off of. I'm just going to use random text that we see in the flavor text and go from there. Rattle in the Wind. Sounds like an instant, maybe a sorcery. Rattle in the Wind is a 2-mana instant. Tap all untapped creatures. You gain 2 life for each creature tapped this way. Cool. The sky above is cracked and rumbling with unseen energy. Chandra Nalar. I do know that one. That's Chandra. Yes, I do know that one. Cool. What are you trying to tell us, Chandra? The sky above is cracked and rumbling with unseen energy. It's a cool card, though. I'm pretty into this one. But we know Chandra's here. But Chandra's, like, I'm not just gonna have a card called Chandra Nalar. That's too empty. Like, but I don't have a subtitle to go off of here either. Do you think that if I made a Chandra card, it would show up as a Planeswalker? I think it would still be a creature probably, but I'd be interested in seeing where it goes. Sky above is cracked and rumbling with unseen energy. I feel like I don't want to be putting too much of my own words into this, and that is where I'm struggling right now. I'm just going to make Chandra Nalar. I don't think there's a card that's just called Chandra Nalar. It should be fine. Chandra Nalar. Oh. This isn't actually Chandra. It's a 2-mana blue 1/1 illusion. It's got flying, and for 3 mana, target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn. Huh. Did I say 2 mana? 3 mana. The Echolodons. Wait for that to finish loading. Don't forget to save. The Echolodons create other forms of itself, sending them on tasks to be completed. The elixir is too dangerous to drink without permission. Vidcan suggests Echolodon Elixir. That is pretty good. I'm really curious just like what an Echolodon is, but yeah, let's start with Echolodon's Elixir, and maybe we can still use Echolodon later. Or maybe we'll learn more about Echolodons and I can call it like Ambitious Echolodon or something. Echolodon Elixir. And actually, we'll make it Echolodons like this. Elixir has an I at the end. Okay. Very cool. Does the plot thicken? I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of green today. Echolodon's Elixir is a 4-mana instant. It's green. Choose one. Target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn, or target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Push over the towers of resistance and will feed on their entrails. They'll feel it even if they can't see it. Well, I think that means I get to use Echolodon now. Towers of Resistance, that's metaphorical, that's not a place. Feed on their entrails. They'll feel it even if they can't see it. I mean, that makes sense, right? There's something about Echolodons, as was suggested in chat, that they're illusion creatures, or maybe they use illusions, maybe they are illusions, maybe they're just invisible. There's some sort of, like, reason why they can't be seen. Maybe they're pure sound. I don't know. So they feel it, but they can't see it. Scarzen suggests Ravenous Ecadon. I'm okay with that. They are feeding on entrails. Because it doesn't inherently make them ravenous, but why not? Thank you everyone for being here. This is making this way smoother than if I was just trying to make things up myself. I'd be editing out a lot of this. Just me waiting around. Ravenous Ecadon. Ravenous Ecadon is a dinosaur! Of course it is! Why didn't I think of that? Oh, that is a terrifying picture. Whoa! Ravenous Ecadon is a 5-mana blue 2/4 dinosaur. You can tap it to add blue, or you can spend generic and blue and tap it to put a 1/1 counter on Ravenous Ecadon. Activate only if you control 8 or more lands. That is so slow. Amazing. Its bones give it no pause in hunting. Its flesh leaves it without hunger. Let's make some more Ecadons. What was that previous card that we saw that first mentioned them? I'm going to see if I can pull up that card again. Chandra Nalar. The Ecadons create other forms of itself, sending them on tasks to be completed. The elixir is too dangerous to drink without permission. Ecadons. Vincan says Splicer. Like Splicer Ecadon or Ecadon Splicer. I'm wondering if this is like Aurochs, where the singular has an S at the end and it should actually be Ravenous Ecadons. I'm not sure. Although we could do that because we can always just have it represent multiple if we wanted to and then be unclear about that. I think I will do a plural. That sounds fun. And like clearly they are like making an elixir, right? So what about like Ecadon's Alchemist or Alchemist Ecadon? Skarzan says, somehow I'm thinking Taskmaster. Its bones give it no pause in hunting. Its flesh leaves it without hunger. Okay. Yeah. I feel like I don't want to put too many words into like, I mean, they made an elixir, but that doesn't really... How did they do that? Maybe it is like a natural process, right? Maybe the Ecadon's elixir is like some kind of bile or something. So I don't want to say that they're alchemists. Let's go with... I want to learn more about them. So I think I'm going to go a little generic. And I'm just going to say greater Ecadons. And see what happens. Green, dinosaur again. Greater Ecadons is a 5-mana 4/4. When Greater Ecadons enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 green dinosaur. Which makes sense. There's 2 of them, right? They're plural. I'm into that. That's fun. Driven by instinct. Driven by a hunger for meat. So it's getting very clear that Ecadons are largely controlled by their like hunger, right? They're driven by their stomachs. But if we look at the Chandra Nalar card again, which I can't bring up on screen right now, unfortunately, but where is that? There it is. Create other forms of itself, sending them on tasks to be completed. The elixir is too dangerous to drink without permission. And what was the elixir? Push over the towers of resistance and will feed on their entrails. They feel it even if they can't see it. I am unsure what the story here is, and I think it is not my place to speculate. Bing can't suggest Elder. Elder Ecadons is pretty good. I think I'm going to go back to singular again, even though I'm not entirely sure if that perfectly follows. Or maybe Ecadon Elder. We might be a little stuck on this. Driven by instinct, driven by hunger for meat. Yeah. We're going to go with Ecadon Elder for the time being. Ooh, this is an elemental. Is there some sort of metamorphosis that happens in the Ecadon lifespan? Ecadon Elder is a 2-mana plant elemental. Ecadon Elder's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Once he reaches full growth, it's not even safe to breathe the same air twice. That is such good flavor text that means absolutely nothing to me. It's just cool sounding. Vincant says maybe they spit out new forms of themselves from their two huge maws. Yes, as we saw previously, the two huge maws. Let's go over the keywords we've seen so far, because I don't think I have anything specific from this. Unless we want to go into an instant. Let's go into an instant, actually. Let's leave the word Ekadon behind us and try and have an inspired instant. Once he reaches full growth, it's not even safe to breathe the same air twice. Now, I can't think of an instant name off of that. Never mind. It's a really cool design, though. I'm going to say Safe to Breathe, which is a very weird name. And see what it does. Safe to Breathe is a 3-mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if that player doesn't control a mountain, you may draw a card. Wow! Is it safe to breathe? Not if your opponent controls a mountain, I guess. What makes the new clean air so much better is that it doesn't leave the people with the last breaths. Murdale, Grey Warden. Well, we got a full name, so that's nice. Don't have to think too much about this one. Murdale, Grey Warden. Before I click onto this, let's think about what we've seen so far. We've seen humans, we've seen Kithkin, we've seen Ecadons, which are dinosaurs, and or plant elementals, depending on their age, I guess. We've seen an illusion in the form of Chandra Nalar. We've seen Core. Interesting. Alright, let's see what we can do. Murdale, the Grey Warden. Murdale Grey Warden is a 3-mana 2/2 human warrior. Whenever Murdale Grey Warden or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target creature get +2/+2 until end of turn. Cool. That checks out. It's what's in his heart that matters. That counts. Whatever. Same concept. Okay. Kind of bland flavor text, unfortunately. It's what's in his heart that counts. Fair enough. What makes the new clean air so much better is that it doesn't leave the people with the last breaths. Murdale Grey Warden said that. And they turn out to be a green human warrior. Not a legendary, though, I just noticed. Which is unfortunately. I mean, maybe it's like a title? Maybe there are multiple Murdale Grey Wardens? But you'd think Grey Warden would be the title. Interesting. Warden's Last Breath is a 2-mana enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has vigilance. Okay, that's weird. But sure. A master of riddles, Orcas, built this bridge to the Nether to tempt souls and satisfy his hunger. Ooh, now that's evocative. I don't know why Warden's Last Breath gives you vigilance. Maybe you fight harder because you're on your last legs, is the idea. Not like it's your last breath, you're dead, but it's like, yeah, no, I can see that actually. Or maybe it's like a natural breath has been imbued in you to keep you on your feet. I don't know, but we got Orcas here. Orcas, I believe, is like from D&D. Is that correct? No. I don't remember. They're like a god. Built or a demon. Maybe a demon. Either way, a master of riddles, Orcas built this bridge to the Nether to tempt souls and satisfy his hunger. Which makes me want to do either Orcas or Nether Bridge. I mean, Nether Bridge is cool. Don't let me forget about Orcas, though. Let's say Nether Bridge. I want to know more about this Nether Bridge. Nether Bridge is an artifact land. Okay. Nether Bridge enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for blue or black. Okay, sure. Travelers had come to this bridge to ask about the Griffin. Well, now I want to know more about the Griffin. What? Why did they come here to ask about the Griffin? Is it the Orcas' Griffin? I kind of think it's just Nether Griffin, right? Let's just do Nether Griffin and see where that takes us. Nether Griffin is a 4-mana, 3/3 flying griffin. For 2 mana and sacrifice Nether Griffin, destroy target land. Okay. Yeah. That's a very weird picture. It is said that only a fool would attempt to eat the golden lily of the Nether Griffin. Well, okay. Now I need to know about the golden lily. Bincan says, Orcas, Latin Orcas, was a god of the underworld, punisher of broken oaths in Etruscan and Roman mythology. There you have it. Well, let's see. Do I just want it to be Golden Lily, or do I need to add some extra qualifier to this? Only a fool would attempt to eat the Golden Lily of the... I'm just going to say Golden Lily. I mean, that's no different than Black Lotus, you know. Golden Lily is a 2-mana enchantment aura that enchants a land. Ooh! Enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. Cute. Probably relatively weak compared to other things that do the same effect, but cool. Lets you fix your mana. Not terrible. You'd rather, you know, have like a mana rock or something probably, but yeah, that's fine. Ooh. But we do have some flavor text. Once every 50 years, a single seed is sown in a meadow. For 100 years, the Liliana grows and grows, becoming as tall as the world. But for only a single day, it becomes golden. The Liliana. Wait, so Golden Lily is a Golden Liliana. And there is, I guess, like a book called The Liliana, which is this is an excerpt from the book. Oh, this is good. Okay. I mean, I'm just gonna say The Liliana. Is that okay? Am I allowed to do that? Like, there's some kind of artifact book? It's not gonna know it's an artifact book. This isn't like, you know, the Underworld Cookbook, which is very clear. I'm going to be disappointed by whatever comes out of this. I am sure. It's going to, like, be a person or something. But that's okay. Let's see where this goes. We're going down the rabbit hole. The Liliana, which hopefully I spelled right. The Liliana is a 5-mana human wizard, and they look like Liliana. I guess that's expected. The Liliana is a 5-mana 2/2 human wizard. When the Liliana, Death's Majesty, okay, enters the battlefield, each player loses 2 life. Tap, put a 1/1 counter on the Liliana. Well, that was disappointing. You do not strike me as the violent type, and yet the king has never seen me try to steal his mana. People don't talk enough about, like, actually using mana in the, like, flavor of the game. You do not... So, okay. I like the idea that the Liliana is a book about, like, this plant called Liliana. That's really cool to me. I'm not surprised that saying the Liliana gives me a creature who is presumably Liliana, a 5-mana 2/2 human wizard, which is not inaccurate, but it's also very weak. Either way, the implication is that that was actually said by this person, and the Liliana was talking about a plant called Liliana, which is kind of weird, but that's fine. When the Liliana's Death's Majesty enters the battlefield, do the thing. You do not strike me as the violent type, and yet the king has never seen me try to steal his mana. So, the Liliana is, I guess, kind of stealing mana, I guess? I don't know. Vincan says, would have liked something like the Liliana World Seed. Now that's interesting. So, I was interpreting the last card as the flavor text was attributed to an excerpt from a book named the Liliana, or in this case, turns out to be a person named the Liliana. But the book, or the excerpt, or the quote, was referring to a plant called Liliana. So quite possibly, we could still build off of this plant. We could still have, like, ever-growing seed. What was the exact terminology? Once every 50 years, a single seed is sown in a meadow. For 100 years, the Liliana grows and grows, becoming as tall as the world. But for only a single day, it becomes golden. So, yeah. I would still be interested in exploring Liliana as this, like, plant or seed. But, I think it's likely we're going to get a spiral off into completely different directions. But that's okay. Scarzan says, hey, she found the plant and named it after herself. Fair enough. I wish I did have a little bit more information about this king that she's threatening to steal the mana of, maybe? I'm not sure. Or do I want to do more about this Liliana seed? Let's try Liliana. Ever-growing seed, world seed. Let's say ever-growing seed. Liliana. Ever-growing seed. I don't know if that'll function. I think it's going to be another creature because of the naming convention, but we'll see where this goes. Did I forget to save that card again? I think I might have. I'm just going to real quick. Everyone ignore what you just saw. It didn't exist. Because I forgot to save it. That one was not real. It grows as tall as the world. It grows as tall as the world. Liliana, ever-growing seed. Liliana, ever-growing seed is a 5-mana legendary creature elf druid. If they were like a plant druid, that would be really cool. But elf druid, I'll take it. Elves are basically plants. Tap to add 2 green. They're 3/4. Liliana, the ever-growing seed, grows more quickly in cool weather. Fun fact! That's it, huh? That's all you got? Okay. Interesting, interesting. Vincan says plants are creatures. Yeah, totally. I just mean it would be cool if this was a like plant druid or something, right? Had the plant subtype. Liliana, the ever-growing seed, grows more quickly in cool weather. I have absolutely nothing to work off of there. Let's just choose a random card from the past and see if there's anything interesting there. Only the right path leads to death. I welcome the call. Arvis, Shaman of Core. The light came from everywhere, spreading across the rift until only the Kithkin remained. Yeah, what do the Kithkin think about all this? Artifacts are a thin crust of reality, protecting a thin crust of truth. You know what? We did Crust of Truth. Let's do Crust of Reality. We obviously needed both. That makes sense to me. Vincan says, if I want to grow some Lilianas in my backyard, I'll make sure to remember it. Ah, yes, that they grow better in cool weather. Or at least faster. I'm not sure if they grow better. Crust of Reality is a 3-mana instant. Creatures you control gain Shroud until end of turn. Potentially useful. Actually, quite useful. As an instant, just like your entire board has hexproof for 1 turn. Yeah, that's often quite good. And you can flash it back for 2. Nice. The Eldrazi. Oh, we got the Eldrazi going up. Okay. There we okay. Eldrazi's showing up again. The Eldrazi became civilized long before humans could make their mark on Ravnica. I mean, we did have Orzov way at the beginning. So, I guess Ravnica is in the picture. That said, we've also had, like, Kithkin and Core, and I don't think those are on Ravnica, so... This will be interesting. Where is this going? The Eldrazi became civilized. I just want civilized Eldrazi because that's really funny to me, so I think I'm just going to do that. Cool card, though. Civilized Eldrazi. I feel like no Eldrazi are just like thing Eldrazi. They're always like some weird garbled concept, like it that slivers through snow and silence. Yeah, is that what you're going with? That's what I'm going with. Civilized Eldrazi. Civilized Eldrazi is a 2-mana 2/2 Eldrazi. All creatures get -1/-0. That's kind of cool. It used to be easy to say who ruled who in Caldotha. Are we in Caldotha? Now that the Eldrazi have shown themselves, that's become much more complicated. Okay. Vincan says, can we also make Eldrazi City? Maybe. I don't think it implied a city, did it? It just said civilization. It's not really the same thing. What can we do with this one? Caldotha. What is Caldotha again? I don't remember what Caldotha is. Is Caldotha a place or a person? Now, here it's a place, so I think that's fine, but... Right, our canon does not have to match real canon. Scarson says a furnace city, apparently, in New Phyrexia. Really? Oh. Okay, I'm going to take a quick little detour and do a little research, I think, because I thought it was something else entirely. I'm thinking of Muldrotha, aren't I? Caldotha on 10 cards. The Great Furnace, Caldotha, Wellspring of Molten Metal. Gotcha. Koth's Courier. Okay. Yeah, I see. I see. Interesting. This has nothing to do with Ravnica. Goblins fear the Slith, believing they are children banished from the womb of the Steel Mother deep within Caldotha. Vincan, did the civilized Eldrazi start immigrating in Caldotha? I guess. They showed up and they're like, we're gonna mess up the status quo. Your terminology makes me want to say, like, Caldotha immigration, because that's really funny to me. That's probably not... Probably, like, Caldothan invasion or something would be more appropriate. It does say Eldrazi have shown themselves, which implies they might have been here for a while. I want to do something with Caldotha, but what do I do with Caldotha? I mean, I could just do Caldotha Eldrazi at this point if I wanted to. I think that's all we really can go off of. If we're trying to iterate as little as possible and keep it card to card, I think Caldotha Eldrazi, as bland as that is probably the best call. Caldotha Eldrazi. Excuse me? Oh, it's just loading slowly. Okay. Whew. I hadn't seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen the mana cost load in like that. Caldotha Eldrazi is a 5-mana 4/4 Eldrazi drone. It is devoid. When Caldotha Eldrazi enters the battlefield, if you control no artifacts, create a token that's a copy of Caldotha Eldrazi. Reminder text, that token is a copy of the token created this way. I kind of? I guess? So it sort of is, I guess. You're not inherently wrong. Okay. May our fates be one. Raiders Code. I mean, I think we're just gonna keep rolling with this. Caldotha Raiders, right? That's not a real card, is it? I never know what's a real card and what isn't. No. Caldotha Ringleader is a card. Okay. Before I move on, though, I just want to talk about this card a bit. Pretty cool. 5-mana 4/4 that makes basically 2 4/4s. Except for, does the token copy also see it? Does this go forever? When Caldotha Eldrazi enters the battlefield, create a token that's a copy of Caldotha Eldrazi. Yeah, that goes forever, right? Because each one is entering the battlefield. Copies enter. Copies don't just materialize on the battlefield. They do enter the battlefield. Yeah, that creates an infinite loop that would cause the game to be a draw. Oh well, that's not for me to worry about. Caldotha Raiders. Hey, we got some red. 6-mana human barbarian. Alright. It's a 3/3. Okay. 1 and tap. No, not tap. 1 red, sacrifice Caldotha Raiders. It deals 2 damage to target creature. That's so bad. It's a 6-mana 3/3. Or a 7-mana deal 2 damage to target creature. Okay. Again, not our concern today. I'll let that load in. Balance is not our concern. For generations, the cult of Orzova, Orzov are back, and the whispers of Zelfir have inspired fear in the hearts of her enemies. Whose enemies? The Caldotha Raiders? What? The cult of Orzova and the whispers of Zelfir have inspired fear in the hearts of her enemies. Okay. Sure. Well, we got Orzov, kind of. And we have Zelfir, which we did not have previously. I could just lift one of these lines. As much as that feels like a fun thing to do, and I've been doing it already today, I don't think... Does that exist in Magic? Is there any instance of a set in which there's a card with flavor text where there's another card that's name is directly word for word from the flavor text? No idea. No clue. Cult of Orzova. Whispers of Zelfir. I kind of just want to use Whispers of Zelfir. That just sounds very evocative. And if I recall correctly, Zelfir is like the city that Teferi is from. Is that right? So we're all over the place, right? And that's pretty common with Magic, with AI Magic, is that everything gets clumped together. We're not on Ravnica. We're in a pastiche of all Magic history. What you gonna do? Did I save that card? I did. Great. Whispers of Zelfir is a 5-mana enchantment. For 1 and discard a card, draw a card. For 5 mana, I think you could do better than that, but at least it's, like, repeatable. Like, that's actually pretty powerful. It's not, like, once per turn. It's not as a, tap ability. Yeah. And yes, guys, and now we're on Dominaria too. I think. I believe that's Dominaria. That sounds right to me. I'm a noob. I don't know. A shadow falls across Zendikar. Sure, why not? A shadow falls across Zendikar, but not before you hear it. What? Who said that? I can't read that. Chen Resi? Maybe? Let me look at the full-size image. Ah, that's much easier to read. Chen Resi, Wizard Researcher. I mean, new character, let's go. Chen Resi, Wizard Researcher. Ooh, Vincan says, yeah, we're in a rift. Like aforementioned in that Kithkin card. Ooh, let's bring that up real quick. I need to make notes for myself so that, I edit this VOD and put, these cards on screen. Wouldn't that be, good of me? I probably won't do that. Kithkin Unifier. The light came from everywhere, spreading across the rift until only the Kithkin remained. What does it mean? Interesting. Did I save this card already? I did. Okay. Alright, Chen Resi. Are you a real character? I don't recognize your name. Chen Resi, Wizard Researcher. Ooh, Chen Resi, Wizard Researcher is a 4-mana, 2/2 legendary human wizard. A lot of those going around. When Chen Resi enters the battlefield, target player discards a card. Okay. For 2 mana and sacrifice Chen Resi, destroy target non-creature permanent with mana value 3 or less. That's quite useful. I don't know, it's probably too expensive, but it's quite useful. Vincan says, at first I thought the light was from the ever-growing Liliana becoming golden. Ooh, that's very possible. Shine on us, Ancient One. The secrets of the world rest with you. I mean, is it too much to just say Ancient One? It's capitalized. Ancient One is not legendary, but that's fine. Is a 5-mana green 3/3 human wizard. There's been a lot of like high mana value cards today, which is kind of surprising. Usually they're kind of in the like 3 to 4 range, but we get 5 and 6s. For 3 mana and tap, search your library for a wizard card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Ooh, okay. Now that's pretty cool. Any wizard. That's probably fine. Like, not many wizards are that expensive in my understanding of the game. So, like, you're already paying a tax of 3 mana. It's a tutor, but it's a very specific, like, thing you're allowed to hit. Yeah, I like this effect. This is cool. Don't trust me. It's the only way I'm sure I'll be able to feed you. What? What does that mean? Okay, sure. Yeah. Did I save this yet? I did not. Okay. Do I want to go back to a previous card and pull some text from it, or... I did earlier say I wanted to do something with Orcas, didn't I? We never did do that. What was the Orcas card that I had? A master of riddles, Orcas built this bridge to the Nether to tempt souls and satisfy his hunger. I think we go with Orcas Riddle Master. Orcas Riddle Master. Orcas Riddle Master is a 6-mana 4/4 legendary orc. Alright. I'm not surprised by that at all. That checks out. For black and sacrifice Orcas Riddle Master, create a 5/5 black and green centaur creature token with defender and haste. But activate only as a sorcery? Oh, that's brutal. If you could do that at instant speed, it would be so much better. What? It's already... What? Ah, you ruined it. The Phyrexian Conceit is simple. I mean, please explain to me the Phyrexian Conceit. I don't think that's a reasonable name for a card, but I'm curious and I'd like to know more. So we're going to use it as a name for a card. Phyrexian Conceit. Although that could mean, like, to the Phyrexians, Conceit is simple, but that's... Phyrexian Conceit is a 2-mana enchantment, or... I guess it's kind of like Phyrexian Arena or something, right? Like, it actually kind of does work, even though it doesn't sound like it should. Interesting. Going back to Orcas, Vincan says... How to use this card is a riddle. Fair. Fair point. Phyrexian Conceit is a 2-mana black enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. Sacrifice a creature. Return enchanted creature to its owner's hand. Huh. That is sometimes relevant. Okay, yeah. Instant speed, you know, like, not instant speed, but like removal spell on the stack, you bounce it to your hand by sacrificing something you care about less than the thing you enchanted. The enchantment will still go away, right? Like, you'll lose that enchantment forever. But it's kind of like extremely bad totem armor. Like, no, wait. Totem armor? Yeah, that's what it's called, right? Umbras. Instead of not dying, it goes to your hand, and you have to kill something else. But, you know, it's not terrible. No god of decay or decaying wastes is my match. Avacyn, Shard Weaver. Ooh, Avacyn. Avacyn. Are you the, like, angel and or god an Innistrad? Is that what Avacyn is? Who's that one god that's like 3 gods combined? Because that would make sense to be like a Shard Weaver. Is that Avacyn? Well, I mean, we got Avacyn Shard Weaver. I feel like we have to use Avacyn Shard Weaver. That's sort of the premise of the show. So how do I feel about this show so far? I'm enjoying it, but it is a mess. It is, like, definitively a mess. I guess that's okay. That's part of the charm of AI magic. Avacyn Shard Weaver. Holy crap! We made a Planeswalker. What? I mean, I knew it was possible, but I don't think I've ever actually seen a Planeswalker happen naturally. I've only seen it when you... Because if you use the advanced options, you can tell Urza's AI, I would like a Planeswalker, please, and it will make you a Planeswalker. But I don't think I've ever seen it just naturally in the wild before. Holy crap. Avacyn Shard Weaver is a 3-mana, 4 loyalty... legendary Planeswalker Avacyn. For +1, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Okay, that's interesting. You could like do that before attacks. That could be relevant. But you can't do it like instant speed to slough off a like a removal spell or anything. Also for +1, draw a card. You may put a card you own from outside the game into your hand instead of paying this spell's mana cost? Wait, this isn't a spell. Okay, you kind of lost me there. But if we, like, you know, if we do a little doctoring of the card, you could say, you may draw a card and put a card you own from outside of the game into your hand, but it counts as a 0. This is basically a +1 or a 0. I guess? And then -1, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, and if you do, you lose a life. Which is very strong. All have forsaken me. I seek my friends no more. What happened to Avacyn? Avacyn is like a holy, like white angel creature, right? That's my understanding of Avacyn. So, in this continuity that we're constructing, something horrible happened. Avacyn became evil, which also ignited a Planeswalker spark, I guess? Oh, this is cool! Vincan says, I think it might be because you formatted it legendary, and there's a Planeswalker called Shard something. Ooh, interesting. I'm always interested in finding the like sort of ways of corralling the AI. Again, I've been using a lot of Deck Builder recently, but I used to do a lot more of the basic card generator, and that was all about sort of like pushing the AI in directions intentionally, only using the name and not using the advanced options. And so I've got like a whole list of crap, things that generally work. Like if you want enchantments, Landscape works surprisingly well. Give it a try sometime. So if Shard hyphen, you know, consistently, and like 1 out of 10 is consistent for this kind of thing, consistently gives you Planeswalkers, that could be super, super interesting as a way of getting yourself those pieces if you're doing a sort of limited forging style game where you're only using the card forger, which I would love to do more of those. The limited forging is sort of my favorite use of Urza's AI because you just make a bunch of cards and you play with them, and you decide, like, you don't have to really curate a huge list. You just deck build out of like your 90 card pool as you would with sealed or whatever, or draft. Anyway, let's move on. All have forsaken me. I seek my friends no more. Well, I'm super happy with this card, but we also have kind of terminated. So I think it is time to jump back to Orzova Cultist, which was a card previously. We had one that talked about the Cult of Orzova and the Whispers of Zelfir, and we followed Zelfir as a thread and not Orzova. So, Orzova Cultist. Boom. I did save that. Good. Worried myself for a second there. Orzova Cultist is a 3-mana black human shaman ally. I haven't seen that in a while. Okay. When Orzova Cultist or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a 1/1 counter on Orzova Cultist and a +1/+1 counter on another ally. Ooh. This is a really clean design, actually. Like, allies are all about finding more allies. Allies are one of the most interesting, like, creature type with inherent synergies. Slivers, of course, have, like, inherent creature type synergy. A lot of other ones have, like, lords and stuff. But as, like, a core theme of the creature type, I think allies really, really stand out. So a lot of allies will tutor you out another ally. But this actually is giving you a payout for doing that, as opposed to just the ally itself. Very cool. The question is, are we going to see more allies? I don't know. Like, ally is just such a rare term, like creature type. A protector of Urabrask, the moon city built in the seafloor. Wait a minute. Are you saying Urabrask is a city? Can an entire city be a land? I think so. I really want to look for Urabrask, the moon city now, because that just sounds really cool. Probably shouldn't do that. Wow. A protector of Urabrask, the moon city built in the seafloor. Where are we? This is a mess. I really like this mess, but it is a mess. Let's all be completely honest with ourselves. Urabrask. I'm just going to say Urabrask, the moon city. I never know if I should capitalize a "the" or not. Bincan says, a tabernacle can be a land or city of brass. Urabrask, the moon city. That's not what I would expect. Urabrask, the moon city, is a 2-mana legendary human shaman. They're a 2/2 with other red creatures you control get +1/+1. And tap, add colorless. The surface of the Loxodon Sea City was riddled with tunnels. Is Urabrask a city of Loxodon? Because we do know that the moon city is on the seafloor. That was part of... Okay. I'm having a hard time following, but... Surface of the Loxodon Sea City. That previous card didn't imply that... Let me just double check the wording on this. A protector of Urabrask, the moon city built in the seafloor. Now, there's no other way of interpreting that. Urabrask is the moon city, whereas this is a sea city about Loxodon. Okay. Yeah. Urabrask, the moon city. Human shaman. See, now I'm picturing, like, a city that is a construct of, like, a, I guess, shamans, like, mental, like hallucinatory terrain in D&D. That's the best compare point I can think of. Where they've generated the city. So the entire city is like a person, even though we experience it as a city, which is why it acts like a land. Does that make sense? I have no clue. Okay. The surface of the Loxodon Sea City was riddled with tunnels. Eh? I'm gonna say Loxodon Tunneler. I don't know where to go from here. Did I forget to save that one? I might have forgotten to save that. Let's try that again, Loxodon Tunneler. So much for that gold card. It was gonna be green and... Oh, that's Urabrask the Moon City. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Urabrask, you make more sense than the other card, but you're not supposed to be here now. Dang it. I'm gonna read this card, actually, because it looks cool. Urabrask the Moon City is a land. Okay, that's what I was expecting the first place. It enters the battlefield tapped. It can tap for blue. Whenever Urabrask becomes tapped, tap target creature an opponent controls. That's pretty cool. Does entering tapped count as becoming tapped? I think no, right? The Shaman of Zelfir enchanted it to teach his city to obey. I like this better. This is the new Urabrask. That happened with Lynn, and it's gonna happen again here. Oh well. Vincat says it makes so much more sense. Yeah. It's funny. You gotta, like, I think that, like, to stop yourself from just getting overwhelmed by the infinite potential of like, randomly generated cards, you have to give yourself some rules. That said, if you accidentally do something like this, I think, I mean, who am I? Who am I to turn down a card once it's already been generated? The Shaman of Zelfir enchanted it to teach his city to obey. So we're back into Zelfir now, which is interesting, because if I remember correctly, Urabrask was mentioned on the Orzova card, and the Orzova card was inspired by that card that mentioned the Cultists of Orzova and Zelfir. So that it's Urabrask, Orzova, and Zelfir in some kind of weird triangle. Yeah. Do I just want to say Shaman of Zelfir? It's like pretty simple, but like, sure. Shaman of Zelfir. Or it could be like a Zelfir Shaman. I think I'm going to say Zelfir Shaman, actually. And not Sham. That's not what I'm going to write. There we go. Very good. Ooh, red. Okay. Zelfir Shaman is a 4-mana 3/3 human shaman. When Zelfir Shaman enters the battlefield, exile all other creatures. You may cast them without paying their mana costs. Does that work? I mean, once a creature is exiled, it's a card in exile, and you can cast cards as spells from exile. Okay. Does that just mean... That just means you kill everything and put it back into play on your side of the board, right? Unless this is worded wrong. I think this is just a, like, the most broken board wipe that's ever been printed. I mean, it hasn't been printed, to be clear, but still. You could argue that it's like... If you could cast them, you could cast them without paying their mana costs. I think I have to double check this, but I think that there is cards that say, like, you may cast it this turn, and you may pay what you may not pay. You could choose to not pay their mana cost, or something like that, as opposed to being combined into one little string, but I'd have to double check that. Again, I am not a judge. Well, sweet. I mean, that's a great card. When spirits turn against you, it's time to take a hard look at yourself. Wow. Really makes you think. So, spirits turning against you. There's a spell in there. I think I want a non-creature. We've had a lot of creatures. What about, like, some kind of spiritual turning? That doesn't sound right. When spirits turn against you. Nah, I'm just going to say Zelfir Spirits or something. Vincan says, Zelfir Shaman is saying that to the opponent. Perhaps. It's not in quotation marks, but, yeah. I could see that. I think these are literal spirits, though, so let's go with Zelfir Spirits. That seems appropriate. I love a creature card that's plural. I don't know. I find it fun. Zelfir Spirits is a 5-mana sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. I mean, it's a little expensive, but I mean, okay, sure. The race to control the 5 elements is over. Only the true master of fire and ice shall reign. Teferi said that. Hey Teferi. Are you the master of 5 elements? Are you the master of fire and ice? Are you talking about yourself? Is this Teferi master of fire and ice? I feel like that's a bit... I don't think Teferi would talk, like, about himself that way. That seems unlikely. The race to control the 5 elements is over. Only the true master of fire and ice shall reign. I mean, I'm not against it. What? Teferi, Master of Fire and Ice, is a 6-mana, probably. It's possible that it's actually more, because the mana cost is cut off, but probably a 6-mana red legendary planeswalker. We got another one. Oh, did it break? No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just rendering. It's fine. It's fine. It actually recognized that Teferi is a planeswalker. Whoa, the whole world is loading in. What the heck is going on? Oh, dang it. The text is all cut off. Ah, crap. Well, that text is accessible if you take the... actually, you might see down here. You can get a proper, like, hard link to the page. And whenever it gets embedded in, like, Discord or Twitter or something, it actually will show you the full body text. So whatever that text is, we can find the exact ruling. It's unfortunate it's not on the card, but that's fine. Teferi, Master of Fire and Ice, is a 6-mana, 3 loyalty, legendary planeswalker Teferi. Probably +1, I don't know. Something, 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 something. Creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy that player's graveyard. Then return their cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. I don't even know what that means. If you destroy a creature, it goes to the graveyard. If you destroy a graveyard, what happens? It doesn't say exile graveyard. But then also says return their cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. Are there cards in the graveyard? For -2, gain control of all elementals and creatures with flying and haste that were dealt combat damage by Teferi this turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. That's so confusing, and also, I think does nothing? Unless it means all elementals and creatures with flying and haste that were dealt damage this turn. But I don't think that's what that means. I think this is a proper reroll because the formatting is broken and it doesn't function. We're moving on. Ooh, but wait. What I leave in my wake is not the same as something that's hidden behind the loyalty. Let's try again. Teferi, Master of Fire and Ice, is a 6-mana, 4 loyalty, legendary planeswalker Teferi. We're trying it again. For +1, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Fine. For -2, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Okay. For -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This is nonsense and means nothing. I mean, it's functional. This card works. It just doesn't do anything, like, coherent or interesting. Teferi will never be tamed. Are you talking about yourself in the third person again? Just like that other card where you were like, only the Master of Fire and Ice shall reign. That's me. I'm the Master of Fire and Ice. In this world, Teferi talks in the third person, I think. I think that's what we're learning. Wow. Phew. Honestly, I think after that, I think that's the time to end the show. We've been going for about an hour and a half. And where do we go from here? Actually, that is something I did want to talk about. I was hoping that this sort of following the flavor would end up with some really interesting world building. And I'm pretty happy with what we have. It's a mess, but that doesn't mean we couldn't expand upon this mess and maybe make it a bit more coherent. So we have a series of cards that we could kind of use as seeds for more things. And I think maybe, instead of what I've been doing previously, which is just coming up with a random deck name and then hoping that that makes for an interesting set, we have these pieces, these cards that exist in a vacuum, but we could take the themes of those cards, use them to generate a deck theme, and make a set from there. So I think that's what I'd be interested in doing. Another custom set, but with the starting point of all the different concepts that have come up in today's stream. Let me know how that sounds to you in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good night, everyone.